Hi everyone, it's Phil Frost from Main Street ROI. I want to welcome you to today's presentation called The 5 Steps to Get Your Chimney Sweep Business Ranking on the First Page of Google. And I want to thank the CSIA for organizing this event. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to dive right in here. We're going to kick things off with some housekeeping. If you're new to GoToWebinar, then I want to let you know that there's a questions box, and you can type in questions as I'm presenting here, and we'll have a live Q&A at the end. I always recommend you turn off distractions. You'll get the most out of these presentations if you're logged out of email and you're not also scrolling through your Facebook feed. And I do want to see who's on today, so I have a couple polls here. This won't take too long, I promise. On your screen, you should see a poll that's asking if you're currently working with an SEO agency or a consulting company. And the answer there are yes, no, or you are in fact an agency or a consultant. I see some folks have found that survey and are answering. I will close that down. Next, I'm just curious to see the folks that are using SEO, how much you're investing each month on your SEO. Is it less than 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000, or more than 3,000 a month? So you should see a poll on your screen asking what is your current or anticipated monthly SEO budget. All right, I see some answers rolling in now. I'll leave that up for 5 more seconds. All right, I'm going to close that down. And the last question here, I promise, and we'll move on, is what other digital marketing channels are you currently using? So you should see a couple options here. Are you using Google AdWords advertising and or Bing advertising? Maybe you're using Facebook advertising, email marketing, social media, or other. And if you are using something else that's not listed there, if you could just type that into the Q&A box. All right, I see some questions or some answers rolling in. And let me just check the questions box here. Okay, let me close that down. So it's just good to see who's on the line here and what you're doing with your digital marketing. All right, here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to walk through some important Google updates that you absolutely need to understand. I'll show you 3 old school SEO tactics you want to avoid. These are tactics that used to work. They would actually get you to rank high, but now they'll get you into trouble with Google. I'll walk through 2 tactics you can use to get ranked in as little as 30 days. A lot of experts will say it takes a long time to rank high in the search results, and that is true, but there are some loopholes, and I'll walk through 2 of those. I'll obviously cover the 5 rules or steps you need to follow, and I do have a special offer for all of you attendees to help you get started today. Now, out of respect for your time, you'll get the most out of this if you already have a website. That should be fairly obvious. We're going to talk about getting your website to rank high, so you do need to have a website. I'm going to assume you provide top quality products or services. You want to be recognized as the #1 provider in your area. You want to know what it takes to get ranked #1. And most importantly, you're willing to take action. And this webinar is not for you if you're just looking for a way to trick Google. So there's a big misconception about SEO that it's all about tricking Google to get your website to rank high. That's actually not the case. I won't be talking about hacks or tricks today. And it's not really for you if you want to set it and forget it type solution. There are unfortunately people saying that there are set and forget it solutions and trying to sell those solutions, but that does not work Definitely doesn't work anymore with the way things have changed with Google's algorithm. Now you're probably wondering, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Again, my name is Phil Frost. I'm the founder of Main Street ROI, and our business provides digital marketing services like SEO, advertising, and email marketing. And we also provide training. We offer free training like this webinar today. We also have a free newsletter that you can subscribe to on our website. And we also provide paid trainings. We do a monthly paid training, and you can learn more about our trainings on the training page of our website. To date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with their digital marketing, and my thought leadership in this industry has been featured in Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. And this is my favorite slide here. I'm also the proud father of these cute kids. That chubby boy there is Emmett. He's over a year and a half now, and that's my daughter Violet on the right. She's just over 4. She turned 4 January 2nd, and that's my beautiful wife Erin on the left. And we're on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. All right, so to understand how SEO works, I do want to give a quick overview of the history of Google. This is really important to understand. So everything that I talk about after this point really builds on the history of Google. So way back in the day, if you're old enough, then you would remember the Alta Vista days. Alta Vista was another search engine. Back in these days, there was no Google. There was just Alta Vista for searching. SEO was very easy. All you had to do was put keywords on your page and have them show up more times than your competitors, and you would likely rank for that keyword. For example, if you wanted to rank for chimney sweep back in the Alta Vista days, you just needed to have a page on your site that said chimney sweep more often than your competitors. So it's super easy, but because of that, it was also full of spam. And if you remember these days, you might do a search for chimney sweep and actually pull up a porn site, for example, completely irrelevant, but people knew how to, basically trick the search engine to get any type of website to show up because you just had to put the keywords on the page. But then around 1998, Google entered the search market, and they had an ingenious search algorithm. It wasn't just looking at words on the page. They also looked at other websites that were linking to that page or that website. And you can think of another website linking to you as a vote in your favor. So if you have 10 other websites that link to you, and when I say a link, that means on their site they have a hyperlink, and if you click on that hyperlink, it goes to your site. That's a link. If other websites are linking to you, that's an indication that they know, like, and trust you. So it's a good indicator. Google figured out they should use that in their algorithm, and once they did that, that removed a lot of the spam that was showing up in Alta Vista. And because of that, Google became the #1 search engine. Excuse me. And they really haven't looked back since. Excuse me. And here's a critical fact or takeaway here. Google depends on the revenue that's generated from the search ads. So if you're not familiar with this, there's a program called Google AdWords, and that allows businesses to advertise to get their business to rank on the first page of Google. So every day, advertisers are spending lots of money, thousands to tens of thousands of dollars to get their business to show up in Google, and they're doing that through advertising. And Google makes the majority of their revenue from those advertisers. Now, because of that, Google is very dependent on users trusting Google to do their searches. They know that their business depends on people coming to Google, making searches, and then clicking on ads. And the people are going to Google because they trust the search results. And what I'm specifically talking about are the organic results or the non-paid results. So that's what we're talking about with SEO. But Google makes the majority of their revenue from people clicking on ads, even though that's a small percentage of people that are actually searching every day. So people search because they trust the search results, they're not spammy, and then some of those people do click on ads, and that's where Google's making all their money. So spam obviously is a big threat to Google's business model, and that's why they have hired some of the smartest people to work on their team and fight any spam that's showing up in Google and just make sure that their results are the best they can be. So now that you understand the history there and you know that Google's business is dependent on the ad revenue, these updates will make more sense. You may have heard of these if you've done some research into SEO. One of the big updates was the Panda update, and that was to remove any websites that were showing up in the search results that gave a bad user experience. And when I say bad user experience, I mean people are coming to the site and they can't find what they're looking for. Essentially, they're bad navigation would be a bad user experience, or low quality content would be a bad experience. Then Google released what's called the Penguin update. This was really targeting businesses that were trying to get lots of links to their site that weren't natural links. So I mentioned earlier that Google's algorithm looks at how many other websites are linking to your website. Well, naturally, you may come to the conclusion that you just need to go out and get lots of links, and that's called link building. The problem with that is there's a right way to do that and a wrong way, and a lot of businesses did it the wrong way, and they would actually create other websites themselves for the sole purpose of linking to their main website. So that was a way to try to manipulate Google's algorithm. Google caught on and released the Penguin update. Next is Google Plus. You may have heard of this. That's Google's social media network. That's really their answer to Facebook. Really, I put this on the list really just to highlight that social media signals will, in my opinion, play a bigger and bigger role in SEO. And then lastly here is the Hummingbird update. This was Google basically overhauled their algorithm not too long ago, and what they did was they gave it the ability to understand synonyms and context. And a great example would be a search that you might do when you're in a new neighborhood. You might search for, let's say, great food nearby. Now that search to you and me makes a lot of sense. You're looking for restaurants near your actual location. But to an algorithm, a computer program, that's actually fairly complex. So that took a while for Google to create this, but they do now have the capability to understand context and synonyms. So a search like great food nearby, Google actually translates that so that they know you're really looking for restaurants near your location, and Google will actually display the nearby restaurants. Okay, so now those updates give you a really good framework and a good foundation to understand why some of these tactics that you may have learned in the past, or maybe consultants might even be telling you to do now, why they don't work. So the first one here is over-optimized web pages. And what I mean by that is there's a term called keyword density. And I really recommend you steer clear of focusing on keyword density. All that is a measurement of how many times a keyword shows up on a page versus all the other words. And that used to be important, obviously, back in the days of Alta Vista, but now it's not as important. And as long as you're writing naturally, and most importantly, writing the copy on your pages for your target audience, that's another big takeaway here. Write for your target audience, don't write for Google. That's a big mistake that businesses make. They think they need to write for Google, and you really don't need to do that anymore. So if you find yourself writing and unnaturally putting some phrases on your pages, that's an indication that you're over-optimizing your web pages. And at the end of the day, this last bullet here is just a reminder that Google wants to show the most valuable information in the search results. So just make sure you're focusing on writing naturally for your target audience, and you're giving them as much information as possible to satisfy them when they're searching for that particular keyword. All right, the second old school tactic you want to avoid is what I'm calling self-created links. And this is related to the Penguin update. So I already hinted at this, but you don't want to buy links. That's, if Google catches you paying for links, paying other businesses to link to you, Google will just remove that from their algorithm. They won't count that as a link. So it's not worth buying links for the sole purpose of SEO. You also don't want to go out and add links from irrelevant websites. So if you're in the chimney sweep industry, it probably doesn't make sense for you to have a link from a cosmetic website. So that would be even though let's just say your wife runs a cosmetic website, it's very easy for her to add a link to your site. You want to resist that urge. That's actually not going to help you. Sure, it's another link, but Google now can tell that that's completely irrelevant, and that's not going to help your rankings. Now, the next one here has to do with anchor text. And I give an example. The blue font that's underlined, it says Chimney Sweep. That's anchor text. So the phrase Chimney Sweep is the anchor text, assuming that if you clicked on Chimney Sweep, that was a link to your site. So the anchor text is just a phrase that is hyperlinked in a link. And you don't want to use the same anchor text for all or most of your links. Now, what the anchor text is used for, Google reads that, and if that is linking to your site, Google knows, okay, your website is related to the phrase chimney sweep. So it's a good indication for Google to know what your website's about, but you don't want to overdo it and have all of your links say the same phrase, because that would never naturally happen. When people link to you, they're going to use lots of different variations of words and different combinations of words. So the main takeaway here, you want to resist the urge, even though you might be able to get a lot of links with the same anchor text. You never want to do that, because that could get you into trouble. If Google thinks that you are manipulating their search algorithm, they will likely give you a penalty. I do want to stop for a second, just see if we had any questions. I don't see any. Okay. And the big takeaway here, in terms of link building, you want to focus on sharing content to get links. That's really the goal here. You don't want to go out and buy links. That's not a good strategy. You don't want to create your own websites that then link to you. You want to create really good content on your site that other relevant websites would want to link to. All right, the final old school tactic you want to avoid is unnecessary, what I'm calling SEO web pages. So this is an old school tactic to, you used to be able to do keyword research, find what people are searching for, and then create a page on your site for every single variation of a particular keyword. That is unnecessary and will actually get you into trouble if you do that. You want to group your keywords together into what I'm calling a theme. So basically, if the keywords are very similar, and the example I have on the page here is chimney sweep in Syosset versus Syosset chimney sweep. Those are essentially the same keyword. They're obviously, it's a different phrase, but that person searching each of those keywords is looking for the exact same thing. When Google knows that the person is looking for the same thing, you really just need one page on your site to optimize for that set of keywords. And here's an example of what can go wrong and why you want to avoid creating lots of pages to target very similar keywords. So we worked with a client, and right when we started working with them, they got this message because our client had created a lot of what are called subdomains, and they were trying to target different locations with the subdomains, but the content on those pages was basically the same. So it was what's called thin content. It provided little or no value. And I'll read this here. Google has detected thin content on your site that provides little or no added value. This critical issue results in irrelevant or low value search results for Google search users and can negatively impact your site's rankings. Therefore, Google has applied a manual spam action, and in order to remove the action, you have to change the content. So again, this is why I'm telling you to avoid these old school tactics. What can happen is Google will find out you're doing something that's, quote, spammy, and you'll get this message, and all of your rankings will likely go away, and you'll have to scramble to fix that problem. All right, before we get to the 5 steps, I have a couple predictions here just so you see where SEO is headed. I predict that Google will continue to fight SEO spam. That's a pretty safe prediction considering their business depends on keeping spam out. So they're going to continue to fight keyword stuffing. They're going to continue to fight any unnatural links, and they don't want to see any unnecessary pages for similar keywords, because that's, unnecessary pages that don't provide much value is really a waste for Google's resources. If you're not aware of this, mobile is still on the rise. Mobile searches on Google, there's actually more of those now on mobile devices versus desktop devices. So that was a big turning point. And on that note, Google's actually using they're going to start using what's called a mobile first index. So they're actually going to look at your mobile site first as your primary site. And that's because more people are going to Google on their mobile devices. So that will continue to rise in importance. And I also predict that social signals will become more important. And hopefully at this point you understand that SEO is not about tricking Google. You definitely don't want to go down that path. It can get you into trouble. SEO is really about partnering with Google, and you want to think about it from really their perspective. They're trying to show the best results they can because that will maximize revenue for their business. So if you want to partner with Google, you just want to have pages on your site that have really high quality information that are the best pages possible for the keywords that you're trying to rank for. And I'll get into how to do that in just a minute. Before we get into that though, I do have a quote from Wayne Gretzky here. A good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. And that's why I went through the history so you could see where SEO has been. as well as some predictions about where it's going to be. And that's by understanding all of that, that will give you the foundation to be successful with SEO. All right, now let's dive into the 5 rules to follow, and I call these the 5 R's. The first R here is research, and by that I mean keyword research. So a tool you can use, it's a free tool. You can use Google's Keyword Planner tool, and if you're not familiar with that tool, you can just go to Google and type in Google Keyword Planner tool, click search. It should be the first result, and you can go create an account and use this tool. You basically you want to search for what you think your prospects are searching. For example, chimney sweep company, company that chimney sweeps. So different variations like that. I'm sure you could rattle off a handful. You can put those all into the tool, click search, and that tool will give you information about those keywords. For example, how many times they're searched, and it will also tell you other relevant phrases that you might not have thought of. So it's kind of like a thesaurus. And when you use this tool, you want to obviously look at how many times a keyword is searched, and if it's not searched at all, that's not going to be a great keyword to focus on. So you want to focus on anything that has search volume greater than 0. You also want to focus on what I call buying intent. And the example here, to clarify what buying intent is, you've got 2 keywords, chimney sweep company nearby versus how to clean a chimney. So which one has more buying intent, more intent to hire a chimney sweep company? It's fairly obvious. The first one has more buying intent. It's pretty obvious if someone's searching chimney sweep company nearby, they're likely looking to hire a chimney sweep company. If someone is searching how to clean a chimney, that's what we call a research intent keyword. And those are really the 2 types of keywords. You have research intent or buying intent. And you want to focus, at least initially, on the buying intent keywords and optimize your site for those keywords, because those are your buyers. They're ready to buy right now. They're ready to actually pick up the phone, call, schedule an appointment. The research intent keywords are not bad, but there's clearly a longer sales cycle for those keywords. So if someone's searching how to clean a chimney, you then need to have a page on your site that's more informational and actually explains how to clean a chimney. And then you could then have a call to action on that to basically say, if you don't want to do this yourself, or you probably shouldn't do this yourself, you should hire an expert, and here's information to call. So you'd first fulfill on that promise to show them how to clean it. So you do have to have that information, and then you could still ideally funnel some of those that are going to hire you to actually contact you. And then I mentioned this earlier, when you're doing your keyword research, you'll find lots of similar keywords, and you want to group those together and just focus on having 1 page for each keyword group. And the last question should be fairly obvious, but you do want to ask, do you deserve to be number 1? Do you actually offer the information that the searcher is looking for? Do you offer that product or that service? Because if you don't, that's a huge uphill battle. You're basically just trying to trick Google at that point. All right, the second R is what's called relevance. And more specifically, we're talking about website relevance. This is really marketing 101. You want to match the message on your site to what the market is searching for. And I'm going to keep hammering this point. You want to pick just 1 page on your site per target keyword group, which is going to be probably a handful of similar phrases. So just 1 page per similar phrases or similar keywords. And once you know what that page is, you want to what's called optimize it. When you hear someone say you need to optimize your page, what they really mean is you're going to edit the title of the page, you want to edit the headers, and the body copy. Now these are the three most important. There are many more factors on a page, but if you edit just these three, you're going to be head and shoulders above your competitors that are not doing SEO. So what I mean by editing the title, you want to put your target keyword in the title, and then you want to put another variation of your keyword in the headers of your page. The headers, if you're familiar with HTML, it's H1, H2, H3. If you're not familiar with HTML, this is something you could easily just give to your web developer. And then as far as body copy goes, if you have one page that's really focused on just a handful of keywords, you'll naturally talk about those keywords in the copy. So again, you don't have to worry about that, and you really should not worry about it when you're writing the copy. You should really focus on writing good sales copy to get the visitor to call you or complete a form or come to your store or office. And here's the golden rule of relevance. Keep this in mind when you're creating your pages. You want to create the web page that you would actually want to find if you were the one searching the keyword. So put yourself in the prospect's shoes. What are they searching for? And then go to your page, and are you actually fulfilling on that? There might be information that you're missing, and the more you can beef up your page so that it really does satisfy everything that a prospect would want to see, that's going to give you the best shot of being the most relevant page for that keyword. But that's only going to get you into the running. So the first two steps here, research and relevance. If you do a search, you'll probably see that there's like a million other websites that are relevant. So then it comes down to how well you're going to rank against all of those other million websites that are also relevant. And that's where reputation comes into play. And so your website reputation is what's called domain authority. Don't worry if you've never heard of this. I'll explain it in just a second. So domain authority, you can think of it pretty much like your real-world reputation. If you think about it, in the real world, your reputation is dependent on who you hang out with. That's one of the factors. That's reputation by association. So if you hang out with a lot of people that have a good reputation, that basically wears off on you. And the same is true online. And when I'm talking about hanging out online, I'm talking about other websites linking to you. So if a lot of other legitimate websites are linking to you, that's going to rub off on your domain and give you a high domain authority or a strong reputation. And that's why links are the number one factor when it comes down to domain authority. And I do want to emphasize it's not just quantity of links, it's also quality of links. And the quality is basically the website that's linking to you. Is it a relevant website, and is it a legitimate business and legitimate website? And I mentioned this before, you want to focus on attracting these links versus buying or creating them yourself. All right, before I get to the other steps, I want to go through those two tactics to get you ranked in 30 days or less. The first tactic is what's called Piggyback SEO. And what we're going to do here, now that you understand the first three steps, research, relevance, and reputation, this will make perfect sense. What we're going to do is piggyback on other high authority websites. And a couple well-known examples are YouTube and PR Web. I'll show you another example in a minute. What you do is publish content with your keyword in the title on another website. And if you do that, putting your keyword in the title, you already know that makes your page really relevant. So you're taking care of step 2. And since you're publishing on a page on a website that already has a high domain authority, that's taking care of step 3. So right away you're going to have a high domain authority, you're going to have a highly relevant page on that site, and that's going to have a really good chance of ranking very quickly. And I'll give you some examples. This is the arrow is pointing down to this article on kissmetrics.com. That's an article that I personally wrote. It's called How to Create a Profitable Google AdWords Campaign from Scratch. You can see in Google for the keyword how to create a Google AdWords campaign, there are 741,000 relevant pages online, at least when I did the screenshot, and this page is ranking number 3. So it's the third, basically Google's saying it's the third best page out of 741,000, and that's because it's highly relevant. The title actually almost exactly matches that keyword, and kissmetrics.com is a well-established website with a strong domain authority in Google's eyes. So it has a high authority, strong reputation. Since I published it with a relevant title, that had a really good chance of ranking, and it did very quickly. And it's not just that keyword. Here's another search for Google AdWords campaign, and you can see in this case, again, it's ranked number 3, just under 2 Google pages. So it's the first non-Google page to rank. And again, that's because it already has a high domain authority and it's a highly relevant title. And tactic number 2 here is called local SEO. If you're not familiar with this is a huge opportunity, especially for Chimney Suite businesses, because you're looking to attract local customers or local clients. And I show you some stats here. 20% of searches are local, 40% of mobile searches are local, and 97% of consumers search for local businesses. So if you do a search in Google and you see that there's a map on the first page with business listings, that is what I'm talking about here. Those are Google My Business listings, and the process to get your business to rank high is very similar, but you need to set up a Google My Business profile. And you'll want to follow the basic 3-step process here. Do your keyword research, make your page relevant by selecting the right categories, and then make your page have a good reputation by getting reviews, getting online reviews, and then also getting what are called citations. And those are simply mentions of your business name, address, and phone number. And the common way to get citations is to get listed in other business directories. So if you follow those 3 steps, you'll have a good shot at ranking high in the local search results. Here's an example from Barney. He wrote to us and said about a month ago, I started going through the local SEO steps. I've noticed my Google rankings moving up, and right now I'm at the number 1 position for my most important keyword in my area. I'm now receiving phone calls for my listing, and I just started working on a project that came in directly from Google Plus Local. So you can see about a month ago, so he was seeing results within 30 days. All right, the 4th R is my favorite R. It's revenue, and that's because the number 1 goal here with SEO, it's easy to get lost in all of this all the SEO lingo, and there's a lot of information out there on this topic, but it's not really about ranking. The goal here is to generate revenue. So don't get too focused on your rankings. Make sure you're also keeping an eye on how that traffic and how that traffic is converting into actual leads and sales. So it's 3 key factors to turning SEO traffic into revenue. You want to have compelling website copy. That's why you remember previously I was saying write your pages with your target prospect in mind. Don't write your pages for Google. Well, this is why. You want to make sure you have compelling website copy to maximize the response you get when people land on your website. You want to make sure you have social proof. This is absolutely critical. When people are searching online for a business, they most likely have never heard of your business, and what they're going to do right away is want to see proof. They're going to be extremely skeptical, and if right on your page you have some testimonials, or maybe you have a specific section of your site that's focused on testimonials, that's going to alleviate that fear that everyone has when they land on a new website and they're not sure if this is a real legit business. And then you want to make sure you have a CTA, or call to action. And that's just, think about what it is you want that visitor to do when they're on that particular page. Do you want them to call you, complete a web form, or maybe it's to go to another page to schedule an appointment? Whatever that is, make sure that's crystal clear, and ideally front and center as soon as the page loads, so you don't have to scroll. The next key factor is what's called a lead magnet. A lead magnet, a typical lead magnet is going to be some kind of free information, and for the Chimney Suite business, you could have you could go the fear angle and have 5 things that you need to check to prevent chimney fires, or devastating chimney accidents. That would certainly catch my eye. So I think fear could be a good angle. So that'd be some kind of free report that people would see on your site and say, oh, hey, I'm interested in this, and they would give their email address in exchange for that free report. The reason you want to have a lead magnet is because the vast majority of traffic to your site is not ready to buy. They're not going to call you. A small percentage, let's say 5%, are actually ready to call and schedule an appointment. So that means 95% of your traffic is not ready. But if you had some kind of lead magnet, you could actually capture some of that 95% that would have just left. You could get their email address and then follow up with them until they are ready to make a decision. And then the third factor comes back to keyword research. And I mentioned you want to focus on buying intent keywords. Well, they need to be relevant keywords, obviously, and then ideally buying intent keywords. Those are the ones that will actually lead to more prospects getting to your site and more prospects actually contacting you. And lastly, you want to be able to track your return on investment. And the tool I recommend is Google Analytics. That's a free tool that you can get installed on your site. It will automatically show you how much traffic you're getting from Google. They call it organic search traffic. And then if you set up goals or conversion tracking, you'll see how much of that traffic is actually turning into leads and sales. All right, the 5th R is responsibility. And what I mean by that is who is responsible for your SEO. And I do want everyone to remember SEO is not a set it and forget it strategy. Unfortunately, you do need to do consistent work. It does require consistent effort to first get ranked and then maintain those rankings. And I always recommend businesses delegate only after they understand at least the basics or the foundation of SEO. And that was really the purpose of this presentation. I wanted to give you the foundation. I realize, except for the agencies and consultants on the line, most businesses are not going to want to do this themselves. But the risk here, if you don't understand it, is that you will go out and hire someone who could actually use some of those old school SEO tactics, and they'll get you into trouble. So you want to avoid that. And this slide here is a good takeaway slide because a lot of people get really worked up about Google updates. I went through a bunch of them, Panda, Penguin, Hummingbird, even this new one that's coming out, the mobile first index. So that one hasn't been released yet, but that's on the horizon. Everyone's going to freak out about these updates, but the reality is these updates are opportunities if you're following best practices. So if you're following best practices, you're doing what you should be doing, then what's going to happen is Google's going to make these updates to remove the spam in the search results. That's going to open up positions for your business to climb in the rankings. So you should really be happy about Google updates as long as you're following best practices. And before we get to Q&A, I do have that special offer for attendees. It's a SEO bundle. And in this bundle, we're going to give you 2 step-by-step 90-minute video training courses. The first one here is called the Complete SEO Tune-Up. That's to get your website all tuned up and relevant for your target keywords. We sell that on our site for $97. The other course is the Local SEO Formula. That's to get your Google My Business page to rank high in the local search results. And again, we sell that for $97. And we're also going to bundle in the SEO audit, and that's a audit that our analysts go through and actually do a full audit of your site. And that includes a 30-minute consultation to go through that audit. And again, we sell that on our site for $300. So that's a total value of $494. And since you attended today, you'll get everything for only $97. And the link to get that SEO bundle is mainstreetroi.com/SEO-bundle. Now, I realize not everyone is interested in training. So if you're not interested in going through those courses, I do also have an offer for you. You can have a free SEO consultation with one of our experts, and all you have to do is answer this poll. Let me get that to show in just a second. Okay, on your screen you should see another one of those polls. This is the last one, and it says, do you want a free SEO consultation? All right, I'll leave that up for just a couple more seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to close that down. And I won't read this, but you'll get the slides in the replay if you want to read. This is just what our clients say about our services from one of our clients, Jordan Conover. And I'll jump right to Q&A. And if you didn't catch that link for the bundle, it's right here as well on your screen. So mainstreetroi.com/SEO-bundle. And this is really a reminder for me to ask everyone to please complete the brief survey at the end. When I do close this out after the live Q&A, you should get redirected right away to a survey, and it should only take a couple minutes to fill that out. And I really appreciate your feedback. We're always trying to improve these and look for other ideas. One of the questions is other ideas for future webinars like this. All right, let me check the questions. I actually don't see any questions, but I'll give it a minute here. I'll get a drink of water. So if no one has questions, that is perfectly okay. I will take a minute to apologize for rescheduling. I actually came down with a stomach bug around midnight Monday night. So that was, I was in bed pretty much all day Tuesday and could not do this presentation. I appreciate everyone being flexible and able to join today. All right, I think we're good. There's no questions. So again, if you want the SEO bundle, you can go to mainstreetroi.com/SEO-bundle. And then again, after this webinar, I'm going to close it out in just a minute. You'll get redirected, and I would really appreciate it if you could complete that survey. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Take care.